Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Lucas, and I chose the book Come Over to My House by Dr. Seuss, illustrated by Katie Kath. I have never actually read this story, so it was the first time for me to read it, and I actually read it to my children also, and it was a very good book. I thought that there were a lot of great illustrations and themes in the story that allow children to get their minds going in uh, imagining different places around the world. The book has this guy on the front in the red overalls going from different homes around the world to see how different people live. The book starts out by saying some houses are bricks, some houses are sticks. You know, some houses are square and some are round, but there's all kinds of houses to be found. And it goes on to say, but wherever you go, you will hear someone say, come over to my house, come over and play. And so the book goes on and on to describe other homes around the world, whether it's homes that are actually apartments and they're small, or they're very large homes with 200 rooms, or a house that lives in a foresty area. It goes on to describe many different homes. One of my favorite illustrations in the book was on page 14, and it says, my house is bright pink and it's happy and gay. Our streets are wet water and we like it that way. And as you can tell in this illustration, you can see the pink house that they're talking about. But the way that this is all set up, you can tell that there's sort of maybe in like Venice, Italy. The guy's wearing a fedora. They have water streets. And I really liked that because they did multiple times go in different areas around the world. Another really great illustrated page was 22 and 23, and the pages read, come into my homeboat, have supper with me. I'll give you cold rice and a cup of hot tea. I eat with chopsticks, and you can learn how, but boy, you are terribly sloppy right now. And it allows the reader to take themselves into a different culture and to see how these other people live. And like I said, it goes on to describe so many different houses and how people sleep and what people do. Some people milk cows, some people milk goats. It goes on and on and on. But at the very end, the book says some houses are marble and some are just tin, but they're all alike when a friend asks you in. And so the story is to teach children that no matter what you come from, no matter where you live or what you have, the only thing that matters is how welcoming you are and how polite you are and how nice you are. And I really liked that was the theme of the story. And even though Dr. Seuss didn't illustrate this particular book, I really liked the illustrations that were done because I thought that there was a lot of detail in them. My personal response on the book was that it would be very beneficial to children because it allows them to see a variety of different homes in the world. It opens up their minds to allow themselves to see that even though that we may live one way, that everyone else, even your neighbor, could live a different way. And the book was very easy to follow along. It was a little longer than I had anticipated. It is 54 pages. And so I think because of that the reader should probably be four to eight, or maybe even 9 or 10. The book says at one point though that my house is quite cold. I need my fur to sleep in, on page 37, and then on page 38 it follows to say it has a whole different illustration, and it says my house is quite hot and I sleep in just my skin. And I thought that was really neat because instead of describing physical characteristics of a home, Dr. Seuss actually added an emotional appeal to the story in terms of allowing the reader to understand that not everyone lives in the same climate or the same weather area. And I think children getting their creativity going like that, thinking about how other people live and how they have to live to survive, is a really good way to allow them to open their minds to other cultures and to stimulate them to keep reading. And of course, Dr. Seuss uses rhymes, and so that allows us to have an easier read of a book. Um, and I personally love the story because even sometimes as adults, we too forget that our neighbors live differently than us, and we can get caught up asking why one person lives one way or another, when in reality we should just be accepting of all walks of life. And I think it was a good reminder to myself to stay open to different cultures and to respect those same cultures. Um, the activity that I would choose specifically for this book would be one where students were able to use their imaginations to draw and illustrate their own type of house that they would dream of living in one day, whether that's a giant house with all sorts of things in it, or if it was a smaller house with their favorite hobbies or something. I would love to see children use their imaginations and to put themselves in a house that they would find appealing. I would encourage them to think about different climates, as this book also does, and types of weather that they enjoy. If they enjoy the snow, then to make a house that would be suitable for the snow, or if they enjoy the summer, to do the same. And I would also encourage them to think about their hobbies and to include that in one way or another in their story and their illustrations. And so, all in all, in this, I really think that it would be a beneficial book for everyone to read at least one time, but specifically ages 4 to 8 would find this book easy to read and it would be beneficial to them. That's all I have. Thank you guys for listening.